Just found your water.
Okay. That's a little better. I'm still sound rough. But
Well, that is better.
rough.
So here's the question: do you remember where Gigi was, or more specifically?
Gigi was in the hallway having just critically or bestial fail, one of the two. And there was a lady that called them out like, this is my domain and you are intruding. Explain yourself.
That's a very good balance of what was actually taking place. Yes, you all had, on several fronts, managed to offend in your paranoia and your behaviors. The beast having the best of its way with you all. There's not many other ways to put it without it seeming so much more worse for you all, because you all, in your paranoia, in dealing with the stress and stressors of what you've dealt with in Gary and home, with all of the ever shifting boundaries, loyalties, and those in power, it is quite natural to understand why you would be a little bit on edge, why you would be a little more circumspect in how you dealt with the world around you. Instead of striding boldly forward into the world and declaring yourself for who and what you are, sneaking around the back seems to be a little safer, a little easier, a little more manageable. But there is an idea that puts forth your best and only foot, because at the end of the day, if you move directly, if you move honestly, no matter how bad things get, they will always be the best version of themselves. And here you are, in a hall, in the middle of nowhere, miles from home, with a tall, gangly-ish Kindred with a shock of auburn reddish hair, glasses that are camouflaged by most standards and most understanding, because being Kindred, you're dead. You don't need to really see with the normal acuity. You have other senses, you have other abilities, you have other ways, and it's usually an affectation, the glasses, unless of course they were blind in life. And it seems as if this particular person sees far clearer than they should. Because in the offing, as Marcus and John tumble past a wash in poultry and bits of food staining the air and themselves, she's managed to circle, placing her back firmly against a wall, declaring who and what she is. There, outside of tearing through the wall itself, there's no way to actively get to her without her being able to defend or worse. And the way that she is standing, there's no doubt in your mind that there would be very much worse. It's almost as if she's weighing each of you by the ingredients of your countenance, as if she's managed to find a way to break you down to, at least visually, all of your component parts, and knows how they jigsaw together, how they are built one Lego upon the other. As she prepares and she casts off that challenge, what is it that is coursing through Gigi's mind?
Kind of like when you put, I guess, two dogs in the same area, and at first they kind of test each other, then one decides to back off and calm the aggression down. Not like rolling over and apologizing, but just kind of like, oh shit, my bad. Giving the other space and realizing their mistake, basically. The beast had gotten the better of her, but she should know better. She's normally much more pulled together. So once that happens and this person presents who they are, she does her utmost to get herself back into that cool, calm lawyer persona and like kind of almost like physically smooths her clothing and steps back, giving this person space as in, yes, no, I'm not going to keep coming at you. Making that very physically clear.
Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus awareness?
Boy. I think I'm at 200 because what happened? Wait, no, am I at 3? It's not good. Four, okay. Oh, so that's all.
Being a member of the Magisters, being a member of the Blood, while you're not the stereotypical, you're not the expected when it comes to kindred of that particular blood, of that particular line. There is a certain weariness and a watchfulness when it comes to the utilizations of power that permeate nearly everything that Gigi does. Silence is a tool and can be a weapon. But, as is always, communication is the only way forward. In assuming and taking in stock of the situation and how it looks with your Nikki Dicky friend and compatriot in the room with Marcus and John awash in the flavors of the night, with Leonetti indisposed. You are, in fact, the most competent, capable person to speak for your coterie, and your fates are clearly intertwined, because while you are taking in the situation and silently, non-communicatively stepping back, you realize that while it seems as if this particular individual, while it seems as if Nazira is in fact alone, she is standing in the hall with 3 known kindred, 2 others which came in with you, which could be ghouls or kindred, and yet she seems relatively nonplussed. It's the sort of reasonable opening gambit that one who is prepared for the worst would do. And so Gigi's mind, Gigi's eyes, Gigi's understanding begins broadening to the shadows and the walls around you all. That lovely southern Midwestern couple that was there when you all entered. Why hadn't they come in all of the uproar and the ruckus? The unknown, unseen cook and the other staff of the hotel. Why is it that you all are isolated, alone?
Yeah, she's more than meets the eye. And she can handle herself or has hidden backup, which is very clear if you're thinking correctly. And that she intends to think correctly. Once she's given the other space, she'll kind of clear her throat. Humblest apologies, madam. It has been a very long trip and a very long evening. We had only intended to pass through, but I'm sure you know it is fairly close to sunrise and we do not have much time to get to where we were going. So we pulled off here, which is the only inn we saw in this small town of yours. We did not know it was someone's domain, otherwise we would have obviously sent notice ahead. I mean no harm, he's just a bit hungry.
That still doesn't quite at all say whom you are. And as she speaks, now that she's no longer holding her tray, you notice that her hands, loosely held, thumb to forefinger, middle finger touching the thumb, and the two on her left hanging loosely, while that's mimicked on her right, except for both and all of her fingers are curled towards her thumb. She's not pointing, but she is. She's not aiming, but she is. And there's no martial arts or combative stance that you are aware of where holding your hand so loosely would be of any effect whatsoever. But there's clearly something in the works.
I understand why that would make things very tense, but if you'll just give me a moment, I will explain it very clearly to you who we are. My name is Genevieve Gardner. My associate, the larger pale man, is Marcus. And the one that attacked you, unfortunately, is John. My other friend in the room is Nikki, and there is Leonetti in that room. We are from Gary. Looking for a lost friend of ours.
Gary? How is Regent Rose?
And nobody's heard from them in a while. Unfortunately, we had a bit of an attack at the local chantry. And a lot of them were lost as far as we know. That's Regent Marcus. There.
I see. And she pauses, consideringly, looking over all of those that are gathered, and considering those in the room. And she takes one small step backwards, lowering her hands to her sides. A small incline of her head, and she bows. I'm Nazira of Clan Tremere. As you are speaking for your gathered assemblage, will you be so kind as to follow me while your friends and compatriots comport themselves and clean their incident?
Genevieve looks down at Marcus, and is he still like wrestling John, or
Yes.
has that kind of calmed down?
Yes, he is still trying to keep John from escaping the bounds of his own flesh as well as Marcus himself. And Marcus isn't exactly the most physical of kindred, but his practice and experience in being the victim has paid some dividends.
Okay. And what was wrong with Leonetti? I don't remember.
And that's fine. Leonetti is just being Leonetti as far as you're concerned. There's other things he would probably prefer you all having done or doing, or who knows.
Genevieve's gonna hold up her finger for like just one moment and kind of stick her head against the door and yell, to Leonetti, "Don't break these two idiots up, please. I need to step away." And then, nodding to their guest, or their host, not guest, sorry, their host, she steps in to lead the way, please.
Of course. Down one hall, up another, taking a few stairs, and you find yourself looking out of a large-ish conference room. It is clear that this is a living space and not, in fact, a conference room. It is several suites that have been conjoined together. There are, like on all of the windows, metal shutters that can be closed from inside the room.
Oh.
There are spaces to sit across the table from one another. She sits with the window to her back so that you have the view. Not that there's much of it, except there's fields and fields of corn. Even at night, seeming as if there's a sea of wildlife out there. Barely tamed wildlife, because amongst the corn, there could be any number of things stalking, preying, moving, playing as the stalks gently sway with a small breeze.
Wow. It seems so big out there, and yet it was so intimidating.
That is life here in Walkerton. I need to know what it is that you all are doing here. Most do their best to not stop here. It is not on the beaten path. I should know. I've been banished here for longer than I would like to be. And I am making the best of it because this is a potent, magical location. Why are you all here, let alone so quickly after the other?
Other?
Yes, while unlike you all, unlike us, he wasn't a member of the tower. He clearly was one of Warrington's anarchs.
Oh.
We don't get kindred that stay as long as you all. We don't get tower as often. So, what are you all doing here?
This don't sound strange, but seeing as you are an understanding of magic of some sort, the one upstairs has visions, and in his vision he said that we absolutely needed to come here. Why, he would not say. He would not let it go until we came here. Apparently there's something he's looking for. We were given a mission keep ourselves safe. And if we return home with having failed this mission, then our lives are forfeit. I'd hope you would understand why it's important that we complete this mission. Gary has been taken over by the Anarchs.
I'm sorry to hear that. I can't say that it is not the best potential course of action for such a hellhole, but I understand. And you all are from Gary?
Yes, what remains of maybe what few power rights there might be, or independence, as you would say, because having followed typically neither side, but leaning more toward. It's not been friendly for us and Gary for some 6 months now.
So you're not Tower. So how is it that you're traveling with a regent, or a purported regent?
I'm a lawyer. Money is my lord and savior. Like whoever client's gonna pay me. That's how it is. I was raised Tower. Bought over Tower. The rest of, as far as I know, Tower.
And you're from Gary, which is no longer Tower. And then I'm taking it that Modius is no longer amongst us.
Nobody's seen Modius in a long time. Even before now, he went missing a long while ago. And there was the war between Anarch and our tenuous peace. And then recently, the new Baron of Gary took a kibosh on that and completely took over. Formerly Juggler's right-hand woman. Incomplete.
That is unfortunate. Seems as if many things have changed since my grandsire made their changes and I've been banished here. Perhaps we can. But you didn't say what your mission was.
It's Baron. In agreement to keeping us alive and forgiving slights given in attempting to unseat them, is looking for one of hers and lost him somewhere in this area or near it. We have to find him and bring him back. We haven't decided whether we're going to follow through on that or not yet, but at least had to look like we were looking.
And whom are you looking for? Would you go ahead and roll your wit plus insight?
Yeah, that's why she was talking around it, because she didn't want to say his name. She's kind of talking around it. 1, 2, 3, insight. 4, 5. That's pretty good. That's not bad.
It is clear that there is more afoot than she is letting on, and it's still leaking through all the same. The question as to whom is the Rubicon. It is the threshold between all that is Rome and all that is not, and therein lies where you sit and where you stand. There is very much the importance of that question being answered.
Now, am I thinking that... I mean, there's no lying to this person, obviously, but it's more of the fact that if I tell them who exactly I'm looking for, is it going to get us killed? Or is it going to help us out? Is that what I'm trying to figure out, basically?
Yeah, that's what you're trying to figure out. And this is anyone's guess. It is anyone's understanding at this point because, well, just like all great lie detector tests, you can't tell without having a baseline to work from. The future is unrealized and the past only ghosts and shadows.
How long have you been? I don't know if you know them or not. How long have you been away from their city or near it enough to get news?
I've never, thankfully, been to Gary. Even with it being fully within Modius's control, was never a place that I personally would have thought to ever exist. And as she says so, you're finally graced with Nikki's presence, having left the hotel room and followed behind you all, assuring that your safety. Because leaving in the middle of a fight, while it's typically the smartest thing to do, but it is horribly against all survival instincts, because if you leave together, you should come together, and if you come together, you should leave together. It is simply the state of things. Separate is never equal, and alone usually only ends with the kindred being, well, no longer amongst the living in one shape, fashion, or form afterwards. So Nikki stands there in the cracked doorway, listening as Gigi and Nazira discuss why it is that the Coterie has come to Walkerton. In doing so, Nikki, would you be attempting to try to remain out of sight? Would you be trying to skulk and sneak in this kindred's domain?
My bad. Clicked on the wrong icon. Well, if it's another kindred's domain, no, not really. I would let my presence be known so Gigi would one know that I got her back, and two, that, there is another kindred. I'm just going on what I heard.
It seems as if your Coterie members are close in hand. You may enter, Nazira says, pausing in her description of her past and understanding of Gary.
Appreciate it. And she will enter.
There's no small bit of surprise in Gigi. Just perfectly honest, of all those gathered, of all those fine Coterie members that you assume would be riding to your rescue or checking on your whereabouts and well-being, Nikki was not very high on that list. Nikki has always been something of a outlier, an independent sort who, well, was there more or less for their own interests. The fact that they spent the energy and time to assure your safety means something.
Of course, you think I let my girl go in alone. I told her I have her back, and I meant it. Look, I do apologize for my intrusion. I am merely making sure that my Coterie is safe. I mean no harm. I'm just merely concerned.
As Gigi was telling me, Genevieve was telling me, you all are nominally Tower and slightly independent autarky. So there is no need to fear here. As long as you abide by the traditions, I don't see that as being an issue.
But of course, it is the traditions that keep us safe. And out of human notice, I have no problem with it.
Gigi actually manages somewhat of a small smile and nods to Nikki. This here's Miss Nikki. And
what did you just say? I'm sorry.
This here is Miss Nikki after they nod. And
she'll nod to their direction. A pleasure to meet you.
Zero. Charmed. Unlike your other coterie members, as you all have not engaged in actual violence nor threatened me directly, I can extend a small bit of courtesy and hospitality, and it's really quite simple. It's perfectly simple, actually. There will be no feeding upon my guests. There will be no feeding upon the hotel staff. Finding sustenance in Walkerton, despite its small number, is extraordinarily easy. In fact, it's as if they are freely offering themselves at their leisure for your pleasure. I understand you all are looking for someone. And they are, Nikki?
He goes by the Mad Mama, I believe. Give me a second. I'm looking for his name.
So you all...
Yes, I'm looking for Arthur Caldwell.
And is he Tower or Anarch?
I believe he'll be Anarch.
Oh, that explains quite a lot. There was
really?
Yes, of course. There was a guest who visited Warrington. They stayed here temporarily before moving into Warrington's hospitality.
Yes, that's right. Would you have a description or name of this person?
You all don't know Warrington.
Unfortunately, no, I never had the pleasure of visiting. Things where we were quite tumultuous, to say the least.
Well, if it is of any assistance and might help you on your way, Warrington stays at the Last Chance Saloon down the road, the motorcycle bar. You can find him there, though of course with the lateness of the hour, I don't believe that it would be the safest risking the travel.
oh, so Warrington is a person.
Not a place. Apologies. My bad. Sorry.
I've noticed, though, that she didn't give a description of this person, that she still didn't answer that part.
Yeah.
And that has kind of gotten Gigi a little curious.
And this person, would he have a description? Or would you have a description of this person?
Unlike many, I don't typically associate with anarchs. but Warrington is unfortunately singular. He is the resident de facto leader of that contingent, and I am unfortunately the only loyalist to the tower here in Walkerton. So I do my absolute best to maintain a semblance of hospitality and upkeep the traditions while keeping a distance from the kindred. I understand that he's quite charming.
And does he have a first name?
You mean Robert?
Oh. Ah. That's what you. And the hotel again that he is staying in?
It is not a hotel. It's the Last Chance Saloon, the biker bar. I'm sure you've passed it on your way here.
Oh, he frequents that.
I do have another small question. If you would entertain that, please. The lupine element in this area is a bit scary and present, which is why we did not go traveling around this evening, despite several of us being fairly hungry. Is that something that you have a problem typically with?
No, as I tried to impart, the townsfolk are extraordinarily hospitable and all but gifting their blood away. It is surprisingly easy to find sustenance, and as far as the lupines, as long as you are wary, there's very little chance of actually coming face to face with one.
So in other words, we are go to the kindred and we won't have to worry about the lupine.
Typically, no. Typically, it is a small, though not zero, chance of running afoul of a lupine. There was a guest several years back who inadvertently somehow came to the attention of a pack that circles the area. I have not had the opportunity to find out where exactly they call their home base, but they frequent the area periodically, once every few months. But luckily, with the rough and tumble sort that frequent the Last Chance Saloon, it is far easier for them to be avoided than to be run afoul of. Anarchs typically are violent ne'er-do-wells, and I can't say that these sorts have not lived up to the stereotype.
Do you have any concerns, any more concerns or questions, Gigi?
Not particularly, but it seems that we will be able to easily handle our hunger tomorrow evening. But I was warned very poignantly by our hostess that there is to be no feeding on the hotel staff or any of the other guests, which is understandable and reasonable.
Of course, I can abide by this.
As long as we let the boys know when we get upstairs, because that is very important.
Yes, the boys.
Well, as long as we have an understanding and you all are upstanding members of the tower, I don't see hospitality being a huge factor.
Gigi is going to look at their watch, and then Nikki. Actually, I know I said tomorrow evening would probably be best, but as hungry as John is, we might want to make that trip tonight and just chance it a little bit. At least we have a place to come back to if it becomes a problem, but I'm sure we could all use a little bit of a bite to eat.
I could use a little sustenance, that's true.
So shall we go gather the boys and take them out?
Sure. But of course, it'd be a perfect opportunity to recite the conditions of staying here.
Would that be amenable to you if we were to take the boys out and make sure that they were well fed, that they might behave themselves when we return?
It would be amenable for everyone to be on their best behavior. I would hate for there to be a contention between us that lasts because of some faux pas.
Agreed.
Well then, if you would excuse me, we are going to go gather our other coterie mates, and hopefully they've cleaned up and we are going to step out for the evening. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, it has. And Nikki will give him a full courtesy with a bow.
As you all make your way out of the conference room that has served as your initial greeting with and meeting with Nazira, barring the hallway faux pas of John trying to divest Nazira of their vitae and Marcus attempting to stop John from making matters so much worse by accosting your host. There are several things that make themselves 100% clear. You all have had that family member that you can't take anywhere. That family member that you can barely put up with on your own. And that's with the strength and bonds of a huge amount of familial piety to keep you from ending their existence, even temporarily. In the current moment, taking a ravenous lasky into a strange town where there is more than a 0% chance of running afoul of a lupine, or the police, or a rival gang of anarchs, or just bikers who would like to enjoy their evening. There are bad ideas and then there are worse ideas. The idea of taking John out onto the town is significantly worse than all of the other options. Marcus and Leonetti, skilled though they are in their own particular fields, are probably best utilized in keeping John from doing something unexpectedly bad. Finding sustenance for the coterie would probably be best for you all to do so singularly, as you all still have the full use of your faculties and your abilities at keeping John, Marcus, and Leonetti from potentially making things worse. Are best suited to look after oneself. Now, of course, you can ignore the good common sense that has struck you like lightning and go seek them out to lead them out into the dark night. Or you can tend to your own needs and find extras for them to bring back.
Well, option B.
Yeah, it's probably best we go out on our own and just bring back a doggy bag.
Well, kindred usually hunt on their own anyway. They're singular hunters, so it makes more sense.
As you all make your way out of the hotel into the dark Indiana night, because it is in fact quite dark. Walkerton isn't the hub of metropolitan city planning. In fact, if one were to have seen the progress of the town, it'd be far clear that Walkerton has always been, but never quite made it. It is a one-horse town in the best of circumstances, yet it is expansive enough that it actually does quantify and qualify as a city. Its growth upon the bones of the dead over and over again, leading to a strange paroxysm of interest, not just of the living, but of the damned, the dead, and all states in between. Those of you with an occult at 2 or higher would feel the otherness that permeates every facet of the town. There's something out there in the dark, something akin to and similar to your beast and wholly different all at once, something calling to you. There's a lure, a draw to those cornfields just at the edge of the town, just there at the edge of your vision, just visible from nearly every vantage point as you all exit the hotel. Through spaces and buildings, you can see the cornfields out there in the distance. As you look left at the far end of the town, there's cornfields. Rows and rows of corn growing wildly, some of it clearly being looked after, but it is very difficult to not feel as if the corn is all that there is, as if the corn is what the town is.
She looks to Gigi. Oh, I believe I saw a movie about this once. This is rather boring.
Were there children in this here particular movie?
Yes, of course it was. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm speaking about. Forgive me, it's a rather a morbid joke, but I couldn't help it. It reminds me so much of it.
I was thinking the same thing. Anyway, I know you would rather take your call, but the thing is, if I was to sit in your pretty machines, I'd probably ruin it. It's not,
I believe I will walk. This is a small town, and I think my car is a little bit too conspicuous. And also, on the point of being conspicuous, I think I must change my attire. Although I do enjoy wearing leather, I think it's just too much. It would draw too much attention to given to my taste in clothing.
probably. Not that you don't look absolutely fabulous, but...
Why, thank you, darling. I think that would be on my agenda. Find different clothing, even though it won't be as extravagant as I like to dress, but we must keep a low profile. And you, darling, where would you go?
Well, the thing is, I was going to say we should take the bug just in case we need to get in and get away relatively quickly, but going for a walk does seem a little bit nice.
And it does. What is the temperature right now, storyteller?
It is a moderate Midwestern evening. Cool enough that if you'd like to, you could definitely wear a sweater. Warm enough where you don't have to. There's a slight breeze rustling the corn, causing it to seem to move as if it is responding to telepathic messages from one stalk to the next. But other than that, it is a very lovely, moderate Midwestern evening.
It's a very nice evening. We don't really get the chance to enjoy such simple pleasures. And also, if I see a child named Malachi, I will shoot him. She grins. Well, Gigi, darling, I believe I'll start my walk. You have my number. Text me if you need me. She said Nikki's gonna walk around, get familiar with the town, see if there's like any late night clothing stores where she can get like a dress or something. Just a dress or outfit that makes her look more like a local than extremely hot chick with leather.
You know, that's the funny thing about small towns.
Everybody knows everybody.
And dark nights. And being a stranger on the scene. Separating it always seems like we can cover more ground. But alone. Because alone. In a dark, one-horse Indiana town. Where it is literally like stepping back in time. There's a certain physicality present in all things. There's a certain eye for an eye and, well, worse to be weighed and measured. And the sound of howling in the distance doesn't make the night any warmer or kinder. And watching as the two separate, as Nikki goes her way and Gigi, not stopping her or not following along, is left on the sidewalk alone. What little bit of sidewalk there is. There's a sinking feeling that falls over everyone. Both these two lovely women as they part ways. A woman alone in the world is never been anything but perceived as a potential victim of someone else's will, someone else's intentions. Especially in backwater places where strangers are not known and no one cares if they disappears.
No, Gigi wouldn't let Nikki go alone. She would give her a little bit of a head start and then go get the bug and kind of like tail her at a distance.
Then would I need a witness and awareness to notice this, or would you be rather overt about it? If you're being overt, she would stop and just get in the car.
Yeah, that's what I said. She's not very good at sneaky, so she'd probably get.
She'll knock on the passenger door, and if you open it, fine, I get it. Safety and numbers. And she'll get in.
I mean, you're the only other girl in the group, and if I go losing you, I might just lose my mind. I'm gonna deal with them motherfuckers.
Yes, darling, you do need another voice of reason in the Coterie. I tell you what, I will no longer do anything reckless like go off alone. Especially here. Now that I stay calmed, possible lupine sighting. And yes, I do believe that we will be safer together.
Indeed. Let's go. So then Gigi is going to make a slow circuit of the town, trying to look for spots of interest.
One being a dress shop, clothing shop.
You need a clothing shop, you say?
Yeah, I need to change my clothing because, I need to change my total look and everything. So I think I'll do that along with my voice.
There are certain truths that are immediately and always available for consideration and perusal. Certain things. North is always north, south is always south, east and west are always the same. So orienting yourselves based on basic geography should be as simple as putting one tire in line with the next, making a left here, making a right there, and being able to judge where you are in location to the hotel. Simple, easy. Cruise until you find something of particular use, a Target, a Walmart, something open late, so that you can change into something a little more rural. There's a problem with that. A very big problem with that. And it's one that didn't immediately stand out at first as you all were perusing the town, because you weren't looking for anywhere in particular. You were looking for just whatever popped up, but anything familiar, a Super 8, a motel of any sort. And it took quite some time, but you all were able to find the Walkerton Hotel, it being the only thing in the city that would serve such a function. Finding a clothing store should be relatively easy. Targets and Walmarts are everywhere. Big box stores rule America. But as you pass a church and realize that you had not seen a church as you made your way into town initially, then you pass a diner, which has one guest inside outside of the staff member. You realize you hadn't passed a diner on the way in. So you turn around and make your way down Georgia Street and realize that the streets are only named every few hundred feet. And as you come towards Walkerton Trail, you realize that you've never passed a Walkerton Trail. You were on Georgia Street. Why are you on Walkerton Trail? And the road seemingly heading south forever, southeast forever. At least as best as you can gauge, it is southeast. But you don't know how you quite ended up on the street. You were on Georgia. You remember Georgia. You remember seeing the sign. Or did you? Or was that from when you first drove through town?
This place is confusing as hell. I don't know if I like it here. I swear John is gonna get his ass kicked.
Agreed. Do you think it's any way that we can turn around? We've been off this road for quite some time. She'll look around, and there's just nothing but corn, right?
On both sides of the road. Previously, it was just there at the edge of the vision, and it seemed to just pop up out of nowhere. There are rows and rows of corn dancing in your peripheral vision, and they seem to have gotten closer to the road the further southeast you've traveled. The further down this road you've traveled, they seem to grow closer and closer to the road.
Do you think it would be you think it is wise that we continue further forward?
Nope. I think I'm a thing of you and let's go back the other way.
It's good that we are on the same accord with this one. This does not seem right.
So, Genevieve carefully whips the VW back in the other direction.
While I'm not complaining about the sights I've seen in my long life as a kindred, I am never shocked by the things that always constantly amaze me when I see them.
There wasn't a school to your left when you were heading initially, but now there is. There is a high school proudly proclaiming itself to be John Glenn High School. And it wasn't there. You did not leave Walkerton Trail, but yet you are sure you're on Georgia Street now.
Oh, I do not like it. I do not like it.
That is one way that we should not go, or there's somebody or some existential power trying to tell us something or guide us somewhere.
Now, it's funny. While the sign proudly proclaims itself to be John Glenn High School, and it wasn't there to your east when you were initially driving down Georgia Street, it is suddenly there to your right on your east side of the road now that you're heading this way, back the way that you came. And you're not sure how you left Walkerton Trail and got back on Georgia, but it is clear that somewhere along the way that happened. And unlike most high schools anywhere in the urbanized metropolitan Chicago, Gary, Indianapolis, any other Midwestern school, it doesn't look like a prison. It's not a modern Cubist style. It is a antebellum sloped roof. Instead of having a simple baseball field or a football field or a track field attached, there are a multiplex of physical activity fields connected with the high school, and surrounding each of them are rows and rows of corn.
My dear Gigi, I think yet again we've come to a place where there's a power that we do not understand lurking here somewhere. And I, my dear, am not keen on finding out what it is.
Me neither. All I wanted was something to eat. This is not okay.
I wanted something to eat in the dress. It seems like we can get neither of the things we want.
You're not sure how or when, but you're no longer on Georgia. You're on Michigan, and to your right is Walkerton Area Historical Society, a museum of the Walkerton area. Its lights flickering in the dark, but the open sign actually says open. There's a little old woman sitting at a desk in the window, writing away with an honest-to-goodness quill-styled pen. It's a big, fluffy, frilly feather of some sort, and her glasses look thick enough, even from this distance, to be able to see the surface of the moon if she stares hard enough into the night sky. Her pale liver spotted hands working feverishly as she mutters to herself. At least you hopefully she's muttering to herself. From the distance and through the window, she could be singing, she could be giving a dissertation or whatever. But she's busily working.
Would you indulge me in something, Gigi? I certainly had an urge to find out about the history of this place. See if there's anything out of the ordinary.
History it is. And Gigi very carefully pulls into the sidewalk.
It would also give us a better understanding of the place that we are staying in if we knew the history of the place.
Yeah, I think maybe finding out a little more might be poignant at this point in time. Figure out why all these weird happenstances are happening.
I think we would have to dig a little bit deeper than the library to discover that, but we could find the start at the library.
Indeed, let's go in.
And she will go into the library.
As you all make your way toward the door, the little old lady sees you guys coming, and she gets up and moves toward the door. And in Midwestern America, there's a common tropey idea that no one locks their doors and everywhere is safe. But as you all get closer to the door, you realize that she's unlocking the door. So while she did have the open sign open, she unfortunately didn't have her doors unlocked for anyone to just traipse in.
And Nikki will just look at Gigi and raise her eyebrow. I'm slowly learning to just go with it, as the expression goes.
Well, hey, y'all, says the lady who opens the door and stands there, one foot holding the door open. She doesn't quite usher you all in, but it is clear that if you don't state your name, your purpose, your rank, and serial number, that she probably will lock the door back very, very shortly.
Good morning, man. Good evening, man. My name's Nikki. My name's Nicole. I just saw that you were open, and me and my girl were just cutting through town. I'm a bit of a history buff, and I just wanted to get just a little bit more acquainted with your lovely little town. Is it all right if I just get a quick history lesson of this place?
No, ain't nobody knowing anything better than about the town save myself. So come on in, make yourselves to home. Do you all need some tea?
I appreciate that, ma'am, but no.
Oh well, warm yourself with a little tea. Let me get both of you all a cup. And you are Nicole's friend.
Genevieve, thank you.
Excellent, Genevieve. G and N and G. I see. Come on in, have yourselves a sit down. I was just transcribing, transposing, and otherwise copying some of our town charter. Sit down. She moves across the room to an already percolating kettle, an actual, honest goodness kettle. Not an electric one, not a microwave cup, not a Keurig, an actual kettle. She retrieves 3 cups, each one slightly different than the next. There's similar style, slightly taller than the average teacup, more along the lines with a deep coffee cup, but each one is slightly different. One's like a little blue with rings, one has a few pink stripes through those rings, and one is just polka dotted with a myriad of different colors. And she pours each of you all a spot of hot water from the kettle. And in goes a few tea leaves. And she grabs saucers for each and slowly prepares things. Now, I normally take cream. I'm not sure if that's more you all liking, but I will make it available for you. And she brings over a little small carafe of cream and sits it on the desk between you two. And then 2 cups of tea. She places each in your hands. She doesn't sit it down in front of you. She carefully hands it to each of you with a teaspoon sitting beside it. It's better if you all stir. And then she goes back and grabs some honey and a small bowl of sugar. She doesn't use any sugar or honey in her own. She, in fact, just pours a small dollop of cream and gives it a quick stir. And waits and watches you both.
Nikki will get a scoop of honey and dab it into the tea, and she'll stir it slowly.
Gigi is taken aback because Nikki sounds completely different, and she was not expecting that accent to come out of Nikki's mouth. So she has tried to keep her composure for up to now. But then once she gets the tea in her hand, she puts just like a small squirt of honey in and stirs very delicately like she was raised to. Then carefully clears the tea off the spoon and takes an actual sip very slowly. And she does have eat food, so she can pull this off.
Well, Nikki's blushed. Does she have a roll to be able to hold it down?
Yes.
Okay, just a simple rouse check.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus. Well, she will first take she'll take a deep whiff of the tea, like taking it. Okay, and of course not. Well, too late now. Well, she failed her rouse, so she will pretend to sip it. Well, no, she'll just go ahead and sip. Whatever happens, happens.
Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your composure and performance?
Is there a difficulty or just roll high?
Roll high.
Going to willpower. Oh wow. Never mind, can't do it. One success.
You have never seen anyone turn green so quickly before, Gigi. Most kindred take quite a few bouts to seem so humanly frail. But it is clear that T does not in fact agree with Nikki. And the young lady behind the desk, she stands up. Oh God! Oh! Hang on, dear. Dandelion is not for everyone. Hang on one sec. And she grabs the garbage can and hands it to Nikki, all but forcing it into her face to make it easy to disgorge whatever did not agree.
I'm sorry. I think I swallowed it down the wrong path. I'm so sorry about that.
Is doing the typical caring friend thing of like rubbing her back and okay, girl, it's okay.
And Nikki will compose herself, give a couple more calls. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
She adjusts her glasses and moves back behind the desk relatively quickly to give you space and not look into the garbage can. Don't fret none about that. Dandelion and Daisy T don't always agree with folks. It is a local favorite. It's one of the few things that grows nearly as wild and free as the corn that is all around.
Yeah, I've noticed that there is a lot of corn. Is there a reason behind that?
Well,
is that your agricultural draw?
You sound like an academic, but Walkerton was founded on corn. It's been the primary product produced by Walkerton for since the town's founding. It is as much Walkerton as anything else that has ever been.
And when was Walkerton founded?
Do you mean officially or founded as Walkerton? Because it has had many names over its lifetime.
Well, I do enjoy history, so the earliest iteration of the town, I guess.
Well, it was initially platted out in 1856, and it has been in under various names, Kingsbury, Walkerstown, and it even tossed around the idea of changing its name to Willerton for some period of time, but it has been in existence every day since.
You say Kings what?
Kingsbury.
Okay, thank you. It seems they're going through a lot of names. Also, I hate that. I hate to ask this, but
Well, then don't.
Well, no, I got to know because I am an avid fan of ghost stories, and being from the Carolinas myself, you do know that we have our own, like the story of the little ghost bride that hangs around at the corner, who's searching for her bow. It's one of the most interesting stories that we have coming out there. But I was just curious, was there any stories connected to this place of that nature?
We don't have any ghosts in Walkerton.
No tall tales. No.
No, life is far too short for such things to actually take any precedence. As an academic, I'm sure that you are aware that things such as that are passed down orally from generation to generation. Not many folks stick around Walkerton. And any child who does is because they love the place, and such oral traditions and stories would make just the opposite of it. In fact, you know that Walkerton's census has been exactly 665 souls for the last 26 years.
Is that right? 665. That is a very, very interesting number. Also, I find it kind of strange that being a small town like this that doesn't have its share of ghost stories. Most places do. Even cities have their own ghost stories. But here, not a one?
Not a one. There's, of course, all sorts of rumors about the cemetery, but that's not exactly a ghost story, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
And what rumor is that, man? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, and she leans back in the chair, looking into her teacup, finally taking a sip. You've got to understand that for as long as anyone has known, Walkerton has always had a population under 1,000 people. Yet, if you look there in the cemetery, there's easily 5,000 graves.
It is peculiar. That's very peculiar. And so either somebody's fudging the census or that does sound strange. I'm only I figured that I could get, if there would be any stories, I think I can get it from you, because you said you are the longest living resident and you are the foremost expert on the history.
I, in fact, am. I don't go in for all of that gobbledygook, of course, but it's really quite simple. Walkerton buries everybody. If we find you on the side of the road, we find you out there in the fields, we find you when you happen to fall out of an airplane, which a John Jennings did back in 1942, we will bury you. Everyone is buried in Walkerton.
I see.
Gigi very listening to all this, like she's kind of like eyes widen just a little bit at the tone change. But then
is there any particular reason why everybody's buried in Walkerton? I mean, forgive me for keep asking, but ma'am, you have to understand this is a subject that is dear to my heart, and I can listen to you talk all night.
We are a good, upstanding Christian community. It would be ungodly to allow dead things to just lay around.
that is true.
Everyone deserves a proper burial. Everyone deserves a proper send-off. It was only the neighborly thing to do to ensure that all dead things get what they are due.
Well, we have taken up enough of your evening, ma'am. We should be on our way. It has been lovely spending time with you and learning more about your lovely town. But, Nikki, we need to get back to the hotel.
You're right, dear. You're right. Thank you so much for your time, man.
It is a pleasure. You all are staying at the hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. That's always good. I hear that they have a fine breakfast there. I hope to see you. I plan on coming down for that French toast in the morning.
Well, hopefully we'll see you there, ma'am. And you have a good night, okay?
Of course.
As soon as they get out the door and out of earshot, I figured if I talked to my original accent, that'd be a little bit too much. I don't think there are too many Germans walking around here.
Warn me next time, because I almost blew our cover. But I don't know if you noticed or not, she was starting to stress the wrong type of words for us to be so chummy and comfortable. I think it was time to go.
Agreed. She sees it's that line that she gave that all dead things get to do. That didn't sit right with me either. I think there's more to this town than she is letting on.
Would you both be so kind to roll your intelligence plus occult?
You were well plus occult. You blacked out there.
Intelligence plus occult.
Oh, oops, wrong one. Space there. Oh my god! Willpower. Okay, can't willpower. Oh, what?
There's a fact that the beast is a coward. It only cares for its continued existence at the expense of anything and everything. And it roars to the surface of you because something small, something intrinsic crossed your mind. And it immediately snarls to life and whirls you around. And if you don't roll your resolve plus composure with a DC of 3, you will tear open that door and get back to the woman inside and divest her of her continued existence.
Oh my god! You said composure plus resolve?
Yes.
DC of 3?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
As Nikki snarls, Gigi, several things come to mind. One, yeah, Dad was stressed. But Dad wasn't stressed until after Nikki emptied their gorge into the garbage can. Their vitae-tinged gorge into the garbage can.
Oh, God. I can't willpower this, can I?
Sure. Fire away.
What the hell? It won't let me.
I think that may be a bot issue.
Hold it. I'll go somewhere else and roll. And I'll count that as the willpower roll.
You can just do exclamation V3 and call it a day.
Do what again?
Just roll 3 die.
Okay. I don't want to roll now. What's it?
So a grand total of 2 versus 3.
Oh, yay. Yep. She's such a nice old lady.
Nikki, what's your strength?
Thank God it's, I believe it 1, thank goodness.
Oh, it'll take you a little bit of time, but the beast is anything but to be deterred. Gigi, you see Nikki accosting the door, getting ready to kick it open to burst it down to get to the woman inside. And your own survivor's instincts, your survivor's traits and skills. The woman didn't get nervous and start mentioning the dead until Nikki emptied their vitae-tinged gorge into the garbage can, until the tea was served, as it were, and until that moment. There are those who know and those who know. And if you know, you know. And right now, as far as Gigi can tell, the woman knows.
Nikki, look, we need to go, girl. Don't go bursting back in there. And she still got her around the waist, trying to kind of pull her away from the door. Need to go. Don't want the cops showing up.
All right.
Is Nikki in a frenzy, or is she within her capacity? Or is she just really angry or upset?
She is really angry. Have you had someone go through your things in front of you and dare you to do something? That's what Nikki is feeling. Nikki just realized that everything that she was had just been gone through. Someone just violated her personal private sanctity in front of her and dared her to respond. Her beast caught it, but she did not.
Okay, she's cursing at you.
Girl, look, come on. I know. Come on. She's trying to pull her.
I mean, Nikki only has one strength, so I mean, it really would be hard to pull her away. I don't think, unless we have to do a opposing roll.
No need for an opposing roll, because the little old lady is standing on the inside of the door, her left hand raised and waving by with 3 of her fingers moving. The fourth one not quite moving as well because of the age, but she's waving. Bye-bye.
And Nikki will just be dragged by Genevieve while she just deadly stares at her. It was after a while she will pull away, since Gigi is dragging her. What is Gigi's strength, by the way?
It's the one.
Jesus. Do you have any brawl?
Anyway.
Brawl. Never mind.
No, I built her for fluffiness.
Okay, don't, this is going to be funny, but yeah. But Nikki will be dragged back to the car and thrown in while still cursing in church. Like I said, if she can be dragged away. Because, like I said, Nikki only got one string.
Being dragged away as Gigi is not the target. It's a little easy in this situation because it's mono versus mono y mano and all that good stuff, and it's an even coin flip who will come out ahead. But in this situation, as both would like to continue existing, being dragged away is the easiest thing. There is some.
I take it as kind of like when you're in elementary school and you got your best friend, hold me back, girl, hold me back, and you pull them in front of you, hold me back.
Okay, yeah.
There is no amount of dread that would be enough to cover the feeling that settles over you both as you drive away and the little old lady standing in the doorway watching you leave.
Scheiße.
Somewhere that's easy to eat at. This ain't easy.
I honestly think that old woman knows more than she's letting off.
Oh, definitely. I think that tea was attacked. Dandelions and daisies. I don't know what that means. Probably had some dang holy water or something in it.
It doesn't take long for the combined mental adrenaline and the beast whispering for you all to find yourselves at the last chance. It is one of the few well-lit places. While the parking lot is lined with trucks and bikes and cars old enough to be your grandfather, it is surprisingly welcoming. Almost as if its light in the darkness called you forward like a lighthouse, as if it kept you from crashing on the rocks of your own fears because of its brightly lit parking lot, its safety and sanctity. There's still some part of the kindred that is that caveman crying in the darkness, that knows that come light, the monsters are kept at bay.
Well, we at least know kindred are here. Thing is, since it's mostly an anarch situation, we're gonna have to play our parts, girl.
I know. I will behave myself. And I promise I won't do any more accents for now.
You say that, but you feel a Sons and Anarchy accent crawling at the back of your mind. As you look out there and you see all of the rat bikes, the Harleys, the Indians, the Triumphs. This is the sort of place where dressed in leather makes you one of them.
She will go in. She's not going to say anything. She's going to go in. Sorry, excuse me. Do you want to at least look at it to see what is in store for us? We will have to come back here eventually. And maybe it'd be a good chance to see it without the boys. Since we are going to play our parts.
I'm the underdressed one this time, but yes, let's go on in.
They're going to go in. Could you do me a favor though, Gigi, darling? Could you do the talking for us at first?
Yeah, sure, that's what I do for a living.
No, I believe I'm going to have to change my voice again. Seriously, darling, do you think the flesh was the only thing that I could change?
I don't know half of what you can do. I'm surprised, but you can change it, mind you.
I can change my total look. I can look like someone else. Of course, you have to change your voice to assume a different personality.
And sharing that bit of information, when you all walk through the doors of the last chance, despite your personal leanings, your personal stylings, despite several factors of yourselves, it's like walking home all over again. It's welcoming, it's active. It is a slew of people and personages from all over. It is metropolitan in the sheer variety and variitude of those involved. There are bikers and truckers and servers and waitresses and bartenders and bouncers and people of all stripes. Well, a good portion of them are wearing jeans. That is the common dress code mostly anywhere in the world these days. But there are jeans and chinos and slacks and dresses and skirts and sundresses and just a huge width and breadth of population. the mixing is very much a melting pot. And sitting on the stage, part of a 4-man band, a gentleman who has raven, dark, slicked back hair, his facial hair coiffed to within an inch of his existence, well manicured, and slowly and skillfully strumming the guitar as the crowd and the band rile up in accordance with the music. Would both of you all be so kind as to roll your composure plus subterfuge to keep from responding to the music? It is literally as if someone is living out Roberta's flack of playing your diary out loud.
Two successes. Dude, nice.
You all managed to keep from being moved. In Nikki's state, just barely, because it is literally someone reaching deep into those memories that Nikki is trying to build over, to pave under, and pull them forward. As the flourish and skill of the musicians wafted over the crowd, Nikki knows what it's like to watch a sunrise over Berlin be the last and only of her being. Watching as the world erupts in flame and fire and things go to hell. The last quiet moment in their entire existence. While Gigi thinks of running wild and free, having moments of innocence and childhood, but they're not enough to take her out of this moment and of this place. To watch as the crowd is pulled along as the musicians show all of their skill and talent.
Leaning over to Nikki carefully to not be like overheard, but and also to be heard by them over the music. That's pretty darn amazing.
I have no words.
And then she's going to look for like a table or empty space for them to sit at. Kind of keep an eye on the guy on stage, thinking that he might be the leader here, but just keep out an eye for anybody that gets shown deference by the rest of the people in the bar.
As popular as the place is currently, and as packed as it is, unfortunately finding a table would be out of the question. You all find yourself, however, at a small space at the corner of the bar, and the bartender, being one of the few people who are not drug along behind the musician, simply pours you 2 drinks. Pours himself one, raises a glass, and sits it back down. How y'all doing?
It seems like this is the only place open at night, huh?
Well, we do our best. It is called the last chance for a reason, you know. Last chance for a drink, last chance for a dance, and for many, this is the last chance before they hit the road for an ungodly number of hours and may not see their family again for weeks on end. You know, Walkerton is a transportation hub of sorts. It's not what most people think of when they think about transportation hub. Most people think about Chicago, New Orleans, Dallas, New York, places where import and export happens. but it's a transportation hub. Everything passes through Walkerton on its way to Chicago. Everything passes through Walkerton on its way up to New York. Most things pass through Walkerton on its way down to New Orleans or Dallas. So a lot of truckers, most bikers, some vacationers and retirees float through the area. Hell, there's a story of a man was so determined to come to Walkerton, he jumped out of an airplane, or fell out, or was pushed out. He's buried up there in the cemetery. So the question comes down to, what you all doing in Walkerton? Y'all don't look like the average or normal, everyday, kindred souls who are alone on the road.
Well, had a friend say that we should stop through here. Was quite insistent upon it. That we couldn't miss seeing what was here, so we're here. Had a little bit of a air on the highway though, and it's been a long night ever since.
To say the least.
I could imagine. Hell, most kindred don't come through these parts because, well, it's so goddamn scary out there with all them lupines and so forth and so on. Only the brave messengers from the prince or the baron in the big cities come this way. So who's you with? The prince or the baron?
Well, Diana Gary is cementing her place and wanted us to come go on a road trip there looking for somebody.
You know, ain't that about a bitch? Caldwell just came through here looking for that messenger from the prince too. He done up and disappeared, and I figured that things were getting real bad up there. And he offers his hand. Warrington, Robert.
He takes it and shakes me. He said, Caldwell.
Maybe you did say, what did you say? You said Warrington, right? Or Warrington?
Warrington, yes.
Robert Warrington?
The one and only. Unless, of course, you know another, then maybe the second or two. Or the first or two, depending on which way you want to lean.
Well, no, we were told if there's anyone to talk to, it would be you. I'm Nikki.
I bet you are.
But of course I am, darling. That's the only person I could be.
No, sorry about that. The band likes Prince, if you all can't tell by that rendition of Purple Rain y'all walked in on. And one of their closing sets is always Darling Nikki.
Oh, I see why that's funny. I'm Genevieve, by the way.
Well,
and don't worry, darling, I do live up to the song.
Well, should we all try? Cheryl, get down off of that chair. Come on over here and watch the bar for a second. Y'all come on with me.
Sure.
He climbs from underneath the bar. Yeah, it doesn't raise on this end. And as he does so, he motions with his head, and you all step back down the hallway past the restrooms, past the cooler, and into the manager's office. It's a small little quaint space, but he takes up a residence on the corner of the desk while leaving both of the chairs for you all.
Nikki, you'll sit.
Gigi will pick the chair closer to the door, but very delicately sitting across their leg.
Well, y'all needs to... Caldwell then came and doing whatever he was doing on behalf of the Baron, but I didn't expect her to send nobody else so soon. We still ain't find that messenger. And whatever he was carrying for Prince Jackson, it had to be very important for him to be out this way. If we can find that messenger and find out what is so god-awful important to the prince, that'll give us a leg up. Because there's only so long that McTavish can hold that line between Chicago. Soon, they're going to send down their hounds and cause all sorts of problems over there in Gary. We're trying to keep that from happening, if you know what I mean.
Indeed we do.
So, Caldwell share any information with y'all? Because he just up and vanished for us. This is what you expect with them, kooks floating around.
That's the problem.
Are you aware
And Micah Bay.
Are you aware of the situation in Gary?
Which situation? The fact that Stevens, according to Caldwell, gotten mad with power. She's killed Modius and Juggler, and no one believes all that bullshit. Stevens is a lot of things, and she may be seizing power, but she ain't a killer.
This is why I have to tell you again. Caldwell was telling the truth.
No, he won't. Stevens ain't no killer. I don't know what got y'all so afraid of the Baron, but let's just be perfectly honest. If she was a killer, Juggler would have been dead years ago. If she was a killer, Modius would have never made his second coming. And if she was a killer, with Caldwell being so up in arms and trying to spread dirt on her name, he wouldn't have made it very far at all.
So you're saying that she is overinflating herself?
She's overinflating the mythos and the mythology, but at the end of the day, she really wants what's best for y'all Northerners. And yeah, I know it ain't that big of a difference, but perfectly honest, look at Gary and then look at here. If we were half as successful as Gary, we'd be at three times as large.
So do you also know that she is using human hunters as her last?
And how is that any different than anybody else? The prince got a fucking goon squad of kindred and ties to the police while keeping everybody else from having ties to the police. Y'all got some very slanted ideas. But I'm glad at least you guys are anarchists. Tower folks, they just ridiculous with how blind they are purposefully sometimes, I think.
Well, we were sent by Stevens to find Caldwell.
No, that means that you ain't all bad. You're working for the right team and the good guys. But yeah.
And Caldwell has information that can prove that she has been breaking the masquerade. That's why we are here.
So you're working with the Baron to bring down the Baron. So y'all think y'all have what it takes to be the next power to be, huh?
No, what I feel is that Caldwell got away from her before she can dispose of him, and now she's looking for him to finish it. He is the only one with the information to expose her. But that is just my theory.
I ain't gonna shoot the holes in your theory. It ain't really worth the time. But think about this. If Caldwell had information and he's out there in the world, out here in the world, somewhere, anywhere, with that information, means he can't do anything with it in Gary. Why would she send you to bring back someone who had information to bring her down? What if he had information to bring her down and he talks to you? What's gonna happen to y'all? Y'all walk back with him if that was the case. Stevens a lot of things, but she ain't stupid.
Yes, I know, but that's why I believe there's something more to it. I also believe that he's already dead.
Well, he did just up and disappear, but Stevens ain't got that sort of reach normally. Too busy keeping our eye on Gary and making sure the Juggler don't fuck up. course, I guess she got more time now that juggler ain't around to fuck up, huh?
Exactly.
So what is it that y'all really want? Y'all want Caldwell? I can do what I can. I can ask around. I mean, there's a few of the nomads that have made the run back and forth. But maybe y'all should hang out a little bit and associate with the town. We're all in love with the place.
You know, I was thinking the same thing.
Plus, and he gets up and crouches in front of Gigi. I got a good feeling about you and I getting to know each other. You got some darkness in you.
Gigi, it seems like you have an admirer.
Oh, I admire you both, but there's not enough downright monstrous void in you, Nikki.
Darling, we just met.
No, but I can see clear, see true. It's one of the many reasons why me and Caldwell get along. While he gets lost in the sauce, I'm able to pilot my course through all of that.
Gigi is raising her brow, but then when he does the whole void thing, her face goes completely flat.
Nikki just looks to Genevieve through the side. Through the side. Yeah, she side.
Question being, are you like Arthur in that regard? Or are you something else?
Oh, I am entirely something else. I have the opportunity of being able to see nearly as much as Caldwell, but I see it clearer. I'm able to surf along the surface of the void without getting sucked in. I am so skilled at dancing between the hailstorm of all godly amounts of chaos that I can dance in the rain without getting wet, slipping between raindrops like a whisper. Of course, you may think that's a little bit of braggadocio on my part, but it's the honest to God truth.
You know, it just only makes me curious to what kind of people out to.
Now, I don't know much about your upbringing, but we don't air family secrets around these parts. We keep the skeletons where they belong. After all, this is Walkerton. This is not Gary or Chicago or Indianapolis or South Haven. Hell,
no,
this ain't even Crown Point.
Oh no, this is. Yes, I understand. Everyone is buried here. Oh.
Oh, you've been talking to Gertrude. I see. Well, she's our local hunter. She keeps things in balance, and she's mostly harmless. She may put a root or a little hex on you, as they say, but otherwise she's mostly harmless. She getting on her good side is a lot easier than staying on her bad side, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think I need to go back to be a farmer. I'm on the good side.
You probably should wait at least a couple of days. Word's already been spread about the blonde bimbo who tried to break in her door. Police probably looking for you shortly. You know, ask you questions, rough you up socially, and send you on your way. Most you might get is a citation for attempted vandalism. So,
I think I'm going to have to do something out of the ordinary.
It's a $35 fine for attempted vandalism. You should be fine. If you ain't got the money, I'll loan you some. It's the only neighborhood thing to do.
I believe I have $35, but I was thinking of evading for a moment. Is there any place to get proper clothing? Or something other than what I want? I'd like to blend in with the locals.
judging by all of that fine leather you're wearing, I say that you're doing a good job of blending in with the locals here. What locals you trying to blend in with? Don't tell me you want to become a farmer. You on farmersonly.com?
Never. But I see your point.
Takes all types. We do not despise anyone else's kink around these parts. Whatever gets you going is what keeps you going. Speaking of getting you going and keeping you going, he dares rest a hand against Gigi's shoulder. I believe that perhaps you and I should have a long conversation about our